Welcome, and thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation on the new requirements related to sheltered work sites. My name is Micah Cisco, and I'm an ODDS Regional Employment Specialist. This is part 2 of an update to the original training that is available on the Employment First website. This second part will focus on the changes that have taken place and more information on what is required of providers that have been approved for this variance, as well as the providers who have chosen not to. It will also focus on the requirements from ODDS and CDDP entities regarding increased monitoring. Finally, we'll go over a resource that's been created for case management entities to use while monitoring. For more information, a list of providers with approved variances can be found on the IDD Employment Policy website, also the link on the current slide. Those listed providers were able to file for a variance for more information, for more time to transform their sheltered work settings. For more information on those requirements, as well as the worker guide, it is accessible on the Employment Policy website. You can find the link on the current slide as well. While most providers did choose to file for a variance, there were providers that chose not to ask for additional time. Due to this, the timeline for the end of their service of employment facility services will be final by March 15, 2019. Some important dates to keep in mind will be September 1st, 2018 will be the deadline for compliance transformation. All employment and day service settings without a variance must be compliant. Now, between September 2018 and December 2018, ODDS Employment Specialist will visit previously identified sheltered work settings that have not submitted a variance. And then January 15, 2019, if a variance has not been granted and sheltered work setting is not in full compliance, then ODDS will issue 60-day written notice regarding termination of the service setting for the individuals who use services within the non-compliant setting. Termination of services will be effective March 15, 2019. And then, as I mentioned before, a provider must be in full compliance or have an approved variance required for state and federal reimbursement under Medicaid by March 15, 2019. After this, for the providers that offer non-sheltered work employment and day service settings, they will be reviewed for HCBS compliance as part of licensing review and other reviews as needed. For providers with approved variants, there are some very specific timeline dates as well. September 1st, 2018 will be the start date of the initial variance period. This period will last for a calendar year. Well, the period will last for a year. The process to get an extension for the next year, a year provider will need to submit a new variance by June 1st, 2019. If this new variance is approved, the start date of the second variance period will begin on September 1st, 2019. If the variance is not filed or approved by ODDS, an employment specialist will be visiting previously identified sheltered work settings that have not submitted a second variance. This visit will happen sometime in between September and December. By January 2020, if a variance has not been granted and a setting is not in full compliance, then ODDS will issue a 60-day written notice regarding termination of service setting for all individuals who use this service within the non-compliant setting. Termination of services will be effective March 15, 2020. If the variance is approved for the second period, an ODDS employment specialist will start the visit remaining sheltered work sites on July 1st, 2018. At that time, they will also be issued a 60-day advance written notice regarding the termination of services. The effective date of the termination will be September 1st. This will be the last day for plan of care authorization as well. Now, as I mentioned before, to obtain the variance, providers had to agree to meeting different requirements throughout the variance approved year. One of the requirements will be for the provider to provide monthly updates to ODDS. These updates will come in the form of a meeting with themselves and ODDS regional employment specialists. These meetings will be part reviewing this documentation and conversations around status and progress of transformation. The regional specialists will want to ensure that the VR referrals have been made, and then what is the status with those? What kind of community work experience is happening? The work experience piece is very critical due to the fact that all individuals will need to be accessing this to continue to work in their sheltered work experience. Quarterly meetings will also be required and a bit different from those monthly meetings between the provider and ODDS. The meeting will have more guests and focus on transformation as a whole, while involving vocational rehab and case management entities. Having everyone at the table will encourage a conversation around any system obstacles that any individual may be facing. Also, as part of the variance, providers have been asked to consider a few things. Coordinating with VR to have counselor hold regular hours at the provider site. This is so people can become more familiar with the services VR offers and to streamline the person's path to competitive integrated employment. Also, holding regular informational nights for individuals and families. This is a great way to share information and individuals and families to have a forum to ask questions. Also, when agencies are thinking about contract work, could it be moved into the community? When it comes to case management entities, we are making recommendations as well. So would it make more sense to structure certain case managers with a caseload more focused on individuals working in sheltered work environments? This could help make sure that the case manager was more specialized in employment with a focus on transition from a sheltered work environment to a community-based setting. Case management entities are encouraged to participate in regular meetings that will be held for sheltered workshop providers to update partners on transformation progress. These meetings will be separate from the quarterly meetings. You should also be aware of the progress on the outcomes from the VR career counseling. Is there anything you could be doing to help? If so, making sure that you complete these in a timely manner to help the process move more smoothly. Case managers must collaborate with providers and everyone on the person's employment team to ensure that individual level variance information always aligns with the career development plan and then other employment service planning documents. Each case manager supporting someone in a sheltered worksite environment must ensure that people are using the service as an opportunity to develop an individualized plan related to exploring community employment. This plan will explain how the person will explore obtain community employment. As I stated, community work experience is a requirement for someone to continue to receive these services, and case managers are required to monitor what is happening. And I stated as stated in their plan and desired outcome section of the ISP. As stated in the OAR 411-415, case management entities have previously been required monitoring for sheltered workshops. These will continue to stay the same. Visiting each employment path facility setting at least twice per year, and those occurring less than every 6 months. Must be while the person is present. And then the case manager must document the progress being made to support the person to achieve employment goals documented in the person's career development plan. This includes following up on any community work experience the person has had and making adjustments needed to the person's employment goals or desired outcomes. Now with those monitoring requirements, this is where the extra guidance comes into place. The extra monitoring is around looking for things that have been implemented to help streamline community employment. So what type of community work experience is this person participating in to make an informed choice about the type of work he or she is interested in? Those could include internships, job shadowing, informational interviews, job developments, or VR referrals. And then what were the outcomes of these experiences? What adjustments are needed to the career development plan, provider implementation strategies, and then based on these outcomes of the experience, are these changes to the type of work person would like to pursue? Are there other types of work experience the person needs? If the person earns less than minimum wage, what was the outcome of this person's career counseling with vocational rehab? Is there any follow-up needed? A referral to VR? Does this person need benefits counseling? Does this person need peer counseling or mentoring? Has this person identified a provider or other supports that may be needed to obtain a job in the general workforce? What is the estimated time frame for each of these things? And when does the sheltered work setting anticipate it will close? And then is there anything else this person needs to make an informed decision about pursuing employment? To make things easier, we have put together a sample monitoring checklist. This list is for case management entities to refer to, as some of these things may have been a little bit different from what you usually monitor. This form is available on the Employment First website. What's important is that you'll see the reminder at the top that you must see the person during this review. This is incredibly important that you include this person as much as possible. Many of the questions on this form dig deep on the progress of finding community employment. And what is better than getting that information from the person themselves? In the boxes below, you'll see that they'll prompt you for how to answer the questions and how they should be asked. If any of this seems like too much, or you just want some more information, here are the links to the employment policy page, the DHS HCBS Transition Plan website, the HCBS Sheltered Workshop Request for Additional Time Worker Guide, the ODDS DHS Employment First Initiative website. These are all very helpful resources. And then for more information or questions on anything in this presentation, feel free to contact Allison Enriquez or any of the regional employment specialists, Brad Collins, Nathan Deeks, Erica Drake, Melanie Hartwig, Teresa Knowles, or myself, Micah Cisco. Again, thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation.